The city of Tampa is dismantling its crime-free housing program and no longer will tell landlords when tenants have been arrested. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's actually an update to a video that I did a little while back that was talking about the city of Tampa's crime-free housing program. So for those who didn't watch that video, I'll throw the link up over here on the screen. But here's the thing with this type of program. Basically what it does is it notifies landlords when you have a tenant in your property who's been arrested or charged with a crime. And what that does is that motivates the landlord to get these people out of the property so that, they're not causing a nuisance to the other tenants. And we don't have these dangerous people living in your apartment building and, basically causing more issues. So it's a good thing for the other tenants who live in the complex. It's a good thing for the landlords. It's a good thing for the community. But people were arguing that because a lot of the crimes that were being reported and a lot of the tenants who were being reported were minorities, then they were saying that somehow this whole policy was racist, right? Which I disagree with. I don't think that this is a racist policy overall. I think that it's a good thing for the majority of the remaining tenants who are in these apartment buildings, okay? Nobody wants to live around a bunch of criminals, and it's completely ridiculous that now another tool that could help get these people out of these complexes is being taken away. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think of these crime-free housing programs, okay? I asked it before in the other video I made, but, what do you think? Do you think they're a good idea or a bad idea, okay? I've already let you know, I think it's a good idea. I think that it's helpful for landlords and tenants to get rid of those problems, okay? But, the decision they made in Tampa is not something that I agree with. But let's get into this article and see what it says. This article comes from TampaBay.com, and it says, Tampa police replace crime-free program, will no longer tell landlords about tenant arrests. All right. Police officers in Tampa will no longer send notices to landlords detailing the arrest of their tenants, Interim Police Chief Ruben Delgado said Wednesday. The notices were part of the Tampa Police Department's crime-free multi-housing program, an anti-crime initiative in apartment complexes that police have operated since 2013. The department came under fire from the Hillsborough County branch of the NAACP and other civil rights groups after a Tampa Bay Times investigation in September revealed that officers sent hundreds of letters that encouraged landlords to evict tenants based on arrests, including some in which charges were later dropped. And here's the thing, okay, and I've said this before, okay, I work in law enforcement, so I know that there are a ton of charges that are oftentimes dropped, but that doesn't mean that this person over here is some innocent person who, never has caused a problem before. That just means that in this particular case, the charges were dropped. Now, what I often see is I will see people in my work, etc., right, who have been arrested a multitude of times, and maybe they're still actually going through the trial right now for some of the charges that they're facing, right? But they haven't been convicted yet. So it still would be very helpful for the people who live around them to get this person out of there, okay? Just imagine, and I'll have to use like a personal example, okay? Well, not a personal example, but just let me create a situation in your head, okay? So we have a tenant in your apartment complex, right? And this person likes to rob people at gunpoint, okay? So they do armed robberies. So this person, gets arrested for armed robbery. They have not been convicted yet, right? But they have been, released for whatever reason. They go back to the apartment building, and now they are terrorizing the units or the other people who live in the other units of that apartment building. Sorry, phone call. Yeah, so now they are terrorizing the people who live in the other units of that apartment building. And, all the landlord wants to do is get rid of this bad apple so that the rest of their tenants are not having any issues, okay? And they can't do that because, well, they don't know. The police never let them know. And so, what ends up happening is, maybe more crime ends up in that apartment building, and that's bad for everyone, the landlord, the tenant, everybody. So, yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm in support of such programs. We got to get these bad apples out of there to keep your apartment building up. Because, the worse the crime is in there, it leads to, worse overall tenants. The good tenants are going to leave. The ones who don't want to have to deal with that stuff, they're just going to leave. But the only ones you're going to be able to get in there after that are just going to be bad ones, and that's going to bring the whole building down. So let's continue. The investigation also showed that officers reported tenants after arrest for misdemeanor crimes, the arrest of juveniles, and arrests that happened away from the landlord's properties. Roughly 90% of people reported were black tenants, records show. So why would 90% of the people reported be black? Okay, well, we have to look at the population statistics of the city. We have to look at the crime statistics for the city. Where are the most crimes reported at in the city? Okay, if they are mostly coming from areas that are predominantly black, then yes, then 90% of the people reported are going to be black. Okay, if Tampa is a majority black city, then the majority of the people who are being reported for crimes are going to be black. I mean, that's just the way it is, statistically speaking. So, saying that they're reporting juveniles, well, guess what? Juveniles can cause a heck of a lot of problems too. If they're fighting, if they are selling drugs, if they are breaking in, and robbing people, etc. Do you think I care that the person is under 18? No, I want them out of here too. Okay? There's no reason to have to deal with that just because the person is under 18. Well, the person's 15 and they robbed me at gunpoint, so therefore it's okay that they stay. No, that's a ridiculous argument, and I'm not putting up with it, okay? So let's keep going. In its place, the city is launching a crime prevention initiative aimed at neighborhoods, businesses, apartments, and condominiums, Delgado said. The program is expected to begin this month. The Safety Awareness for Everyone program, or SAFE, merges existing neighborhood watches, the Crime Free program, and Business Watch Tampa. It will include an online dashboard where residents, landlords, and business owners can track police activity close to their properties and make anonymous tips about crime. Delgado denied that his department is dismantling the Crime-Free program, describing it as an opportunity to re-engage apartment communities. So, yeah, basically, they replaced the program with a dashboard that says, hey, well, crimes happen. The only way a landlord would even know then that a crime was occurring would be like, oh, well, look, here on the street, right outside of my apartment building, suddenly there's all these crimes being reported right there. But not even realizing that, hey, it's the tenant who lives in one of these units who's committing these crimes. Isn't that crazy? I mean, man, I thought it was a good program. I'm not in charge of this sort of thing, but I do believe it's a good program. I think that it works, and I think it's helpful. So, it just angers me that they ripped it apart like this, and the result is going to be that it's going to make a lot of apartment complexes worse, okay? It's going to make them full of crime, they're going to be full of criminals, and the landlords will have nothing that they can do about it, okay? And that's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous, and, I hate it when, this sort of thing happens, okay? They'll say, oh, well, this is bad for black people, okay? And using that argument is not even looking at the fact that the majority of the other tenants are black as well, and they have to put up with all of the crime caused by, one bad apple, and maybe they want to be rid of that person too. And maybe they appreciated the fact that this program was put into place that allowed the landlords to evict those tenants so they didn't have to live with a whole bunch of, criminals. But let's keep going. Our whole goal from the beginning in Neighborhood Watch, or even in the apartment communities, was to partner with the communities and try to provide the safest environment we could for all citizens throughout the city, Delgado said. That philosophy hasn't changed. The new dashboard shows the location, date, and description of each call. It could be loud music, it could be a stabbing, Delgado said. But unlike notices in the crime-free program, the portal will not list the names and addresses of those arrested. It will include a link for residents who want to request a police arrest or incident report. Under Florida's public records law, these reports already are available to every resident. So yeah, we're gonna hide the names of the criminals. That'll make things better. Let's hide the names. We don't want anyone to be embarrassed. No. Come on here. Okay? Wake up. This sort of thing is not going to help the apartment communities. It's not going to help the community as a whole. We should not be coddling or trying to make it easier for criminals to, commit crimes. Okay? That's the truth. We should not be making it easier for these people to, just get away with whatever they're getting away with. We want to make it as hard for them as possible. And if the threat of eviction isn't enough, then, we should definitely put these programs in place. We should keep them in place wherever they're at right now because they are good, they're helping the community, and they help landlords.